We are live.
Sweet.
Hey, man.
What's going on? I know we're talking for a couple minutes already.
Yeah. All right. Just for everyone that's going to tune into this, we were chatting for about 10 minutes, and it wound up to us expressing that we're sitting here late night in pajama pants.
I just woke up, so Happy New Year's, everyone.
Hey, man. Hey, we're doing all this talking, and I haven't wished you Happy New Year's, brother. Happy New Year's.
You're drinking a beer. I'm drinking coffee. We'll get into it here.
I mean, 20.
Some maestro, maybe. Is that a good way to ring in the new year?
Let's do this. It's somewhat of a tradition. The kids are going to bed. You know, this is
might as well, right?
What's that old dad joke? I haven't had a shot of rum all year.
I can make that happen for you.
All right, Zach, man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you online. Here we are. Cheers to you, brother.
Cheers. Oh man, that's good. Good stuff.
It gets better each and every single time.
Totally not sponsored, guys.
But 100% sponsored. Hashtag Bacardi Legacy 2019. Thank you very much, everyone.
Hashtag
so, Big Zach, tell everyone, please. Please tell everyone where you're from, your name, where you work, and why you're here.
Well, my name is Zach. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm from a small little town outside called Sugarland. I work over at two places. My main home is a place called Ninja Ramen. We're a small little dive bar on the side of the road, which has the largest Asian whiskey selection in the nation, if I'm not mistaken. So it's always fun to work with all that stuff. I also work over at a place called South Bank Seafood and get to learn from one of the best bartenders in the city. He knows more about nerdy cocktail stuff than I would say I would care to know. But I mean, that man is insane with his knowledge. So it's always great to get those experiences. But I mean, been bartending since I was 18. I'm 22 now, so going on almost 5 years. I'm here because, well, you reached out to me, but I guess it's through Legacy. My boss gave me the challenge of, hey, let's see what we can do, and started putting it together, and kind of felt inspired through food and my family, and just kind of went with it and threw it together and submitted it, and well, I guess the rest is history. But I mean,
here we are, man.
Here we are. I'm drinking a cup of coffee, just waking up, and you're about to head off to bed.
Yeah, and now you're talking to some guy stuck in the woods in Sweden. So it's funny how Legacy kind of takes you from little dive bars on the side of the road to connecting with the global community. It's kind of mind spinning when you break it down.
The amount of people I've been talking to and messaging going everywhere from a couple of my friends in Singapore to talks to people in Canada. I mean, it's immense of how large this conglomerate of the competition goes, and how I would have never even known about you until this, and the people that brings together is just a unique, awesome experience.
Mate, you know, it's so funny. You know, we have these 3 points that I want to talk about: bartenders' health and industry health, creating a partnership with a mentor, and also how do you go about creating a cocktail name. But one thing that just kind of popped up into my head is venue and where you come from and how that influences your ability to enter into Legacy. And the reason why I say this is because, like I mentioned in our pre-chat, I come from a really tiny country town, population of, boys, how many 100,000 people in North Shopping? 140,000 people. Like it's a tiny place, and for a lot of people that may deter you from entering such a massive competition. did you ever feel at some point that working in Ninja Ramen, you kind of felt like there's no point?
I mean, God, first off, I'm just to say this. When I first met my boss at Ninja Ramen, he was wearing a bra, and the upsetting part is he actually pulled this off better than most women. So my boss at Ninja Ramen is absolutely insane. He's not small from the competition scene. He loves doing MIB most of all, just because his stuff is crazy. He used, I think, what was it? Some kind of animal testicles in his last year's cocktail. Don't worry about it. But he's always kind of pushed us to be not necessarily stupid with things, but be creative with stuff. And so I've always had that backing from there. And it wasn't ever a thought of I couldn't do it. It was always a thought of if I'm ready to do it. Anyone can do whatever. I mean, hell, I'm 22 and in a global competition. And if you told me I was going to be doing this last year on New Year's Day, I probably would have just laughed. So I never felt held back from wherever I worked. I felt held back from personal reasons. Just personal things kept me from pushing myself. But luckily I guess one of the advantages I've had is the mentorship in Houston hats off to it. If I need to text anyone at 4 a.m. saying, hey, remember that one random syrup you did that one time? What was the specs? I can get it. No one here is ashamed. No one here is hiding something. Everyone's here to kind of work together. So through that support, it never really mattered where we were.
And that's fantastic, man, because it's one thing that I've, I'm not Swedish. I come from Sydney, Australia. And in Sydney, back home in Sydney, that's where I cut my chops. That's where I learned the industry, and I was so used to competing out of Sydney. Sydney's a global market. It's huge. Some of the world's best bars are there. And when I moved to this tiny little country town, I thought to myself, you're never going to get noticed. You're never going to get seen. There's no point. And for quite a while, that was kind of a deterrent. And for anyone that tunes into this, I don't think you should let the size of your venue or your city dictate what it is that you want to do, because there's some circumstances that you can't change. And you just have to find radical ways of thinking around situations and, creating your own luck in a way.
Agreed. I mean, I guess the only thing that holds you back with venues, in my opinion, would just be just access to certain alcohols or certain liquors or certain books or certain ways to get to know anything. But one thing I love about the bartending community is from 5 years ago to now, there's been an immense amount of resources just available. So I don't ever think a venue or where you're at or city should ever hold anyone back, because I got probably about 30, 40 books right there next to me of everything. I mean, I don't need a venue to get that. All you need is a good Amazon Prime membership.
Yeah, man. And this kind of leads into the first topic, is a mentor, and having someone who's going to kind of guide you through these waters and I mean ultimately push you into doing these things, or at least in a positive way challenge you and encourage you to step outside the norm. I think right now I'm doing consulting for a few bars, and that's one thing that I'm telling these guys, that you need to get out there. You need to put yourself out there. You need to, to almost in a way become shameless in your online promotion of yourself and your abilities, because if you don't, then it dies with the one person that you serve that mojito or that whatever drink it is that you're making for them. So, I mean, talk to me, Zach, about this crazy bra-wearing ramen maniac that kind of helped you to get to where you are now.
I mean, I've had a lot of mentors throughout everything. One of my biggest beliefs is there's not one person you meet in the day that you can't learn something from. And people always judge me because I tend to dress slightly better than most. My whole theory about it is you never know who you'll meet. I mean, you can find mentorship through anyone. I think my greatest thing is besides my boss being just insanely crazy, the other people I've met through this industry. I don't know what Sweden, or I think Europe mostly deals with IBA. But here in the U.S., we have what's called the United States Bartenders Guild, which is a guild of professional bartenders and industry experts, and as well as there's normal people who just like the craft. And through that, I was able to meet a lot of people. Here in the Houston chapter, we have an insanely large showing. And through that, I was able to meet people. One of my greatest mentors actually pushed me to do Legacy. His name is Patrick Abelos. And he's written articles. He's turned programs around. I thank him to be my mentor as well as a good friend. Another guy that really pushes me. I'm not even part of his bar. He opens his bar up to everyone. Like, if you want to mess with the cocktail, if you want to learn something, if you want to hop back there and do a stage, I mean, anything you want, he pushes everyone. Justin Ware is another big name down here in Houston, and he has also helped me. I mean, Urban Nights, where I did a couple stages over there, as well as got to sit on one of the round tables and got to see different aspects of it. There's a gentleman who tends to be on the sarcastic side of things in his deal with people, but he's very knowledgeable and cares about the industry. You might have heard of him. Chris Morris. He was big with Legacy as well as MIB. He's here, and anytime I need something from him or his wife, by the way, his wife scares me. So, Chris Morris, if you ever watch this, just know your wife scares me. She's lovely, though.
Hey, man, send him the link so he can see the little shout out. But you know, when you're doing these kind of competitions, especially Legacy, what I find is having those mentors and having built those relationships up from years of dedication and years of honesty and loyalty and genuality. You know, you can use these mentors to help you throughout this process that is Bacardi Legacy. And it's what I'm finding right now is, you know, I've used and I've exhausted the information of people that I've worked with or I've learned from in the past, and inevitably they've linked me up with people who I would have zero chance of contacting. And you know, I'm constantly finding new mentors, and I'm constantly finding industry peers who are so willing to help and so willing to share an abundance of knowledge. You know, and like you said, finding a mentor is, you know, it's just a matter of asking, you know, putting yourself out there, being forward, and being willing to learn and accept.
And one of the difficulties that most people find, especially with myself, it's difficult for me because I'm not the most, I mean, I'm generally pretty active. I go out, I talk to people. I'm generally pretty interactive with a lot of people, but I'm not one to put myself out there on the stage. I'm not one to promote myself. I'm not, just never been that kind of guy. I'm always been laid back. If you want to know something, I'll tell you. I'll find the answer. I'll get it to you. And so for a lot of people, it's scary because, and for me, it was scary because you put quite a bit on the line for when you try to find a mentor. Or with Legacy, I can't tell you how many bars I've been through so far, and that amount of rejection kind of sucks. But it's one of those things that if you want to grow in this industry and become a professional, there's no one in this industry that I've met that doesn't want you to learn. If you're a professional in this industry, they'll find a way to help you somehow. And even through the no's, I've gotten contacts. I've gotten people I can talk to. I've gotten people that have taken my cards on the menu. I've gotten people that want to do pop-ups with me. And so it sucks to be rejected, and it's difficult to put yourself out there. But through that, you grow, and eventually you'll find that one person that will take you under their wing. And from the smallest town to, hell, I could here in Houston, which, God damn it, it's way too freaking large.
You know what? On that note of rejection and going venue to venue and trying to get your menu out there, you know, one thing that I'm finding with, I think you're my 8th or 9th hangout that I've done, and I've got 50 more scheduled in the next 3 months. I find that each and every person. Sorry.
Say good luck to you with that.
I mean, these are essentially my guest chefs. You know, I'm using this to reach out to consumers and to build awareness of my drink as well as your drink, and to share our concepts. And that's kind of where I'm going with this, is that a legacy is something that should be embedded within who you are as a person, right? And inevitably, what I'm finding is, you know, with each concept that comes through, there is something inherently honest about who that person that created that drink is. And as long as you're staying true to what that concept is, no matter how, in Cubist's case, how radical and acid trippy it's supposed to be, compared to Muhibbah, which it's about caring, harmony, and peacefulness. If that can come across in a really pure and honest way, then I find that it makes the process of dealing with venues and finding people to help you on your journey just that little bit much easier. Have you had something similar?
Yeah, my interactions with people going through each venue has greatly changed. My concept of dealing with people, my story, my legacy, my personal values have not. Through rejection, I found new ways of interacting with others. I found certain people respond better ways with others. But I think the underlying tone that you have to have with any of it is, again, what you just said: be honest and be true to yourself. And throughout all of it, just make sure the idea and the message of what you want to promote and you want to get out there stays the same. You're dealing with people. I mean, I can talk to 4 different people and give 20 different ways of talking to them, because everyone's different. Everyone has their different cues. There'd be a bartender that, if I'm talking to them, I'll do a shot with them. There'd be other bartenders where I'd rather buy them a lunch. I mean, there's other people that your interactions do change, but none of your values should. Because a lot of what legacy is, a lot of what legacy winners do, is be true to themselves. I think, one of the cool things I see with legacy is a lot of newcomers come on the market. I know with the U.S. market, with legacy, only I think like 1 or 2 people are repeats from previous years. The rest of us are brand new. None of us know what the hell we're doing. And so
it's such a cool journey to be taking as well. As you could be a veteran in the game for 15 years, and this is the first time that you've made it this far into legacy, and and it's kind of like the great equalizer.
It is. I mean, no one's on a level playing field at all. I mean, I hate to say, but I probably have a slightly better advantage with my city than you do, but it doesn't stop us from doing what we enjoy at the end of the day. I mean, at the end of what we do is create a memory, allow someone to speak themselves, be true to themselves, and reach just being good people. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you do. That's what I do. That's what I find that most bartenders enjoy. I mean, my brother and his friends, after 4 years, finally decided to visit me at one of my bars. And so I was a little upset with them. That took them 4 years to do that, but they finally did. And my brother made the comment. It was, you could be at a better, more craft-oriented bar, better design bar, better blah, blah, blah. Says, you could do that. Why haven't you? And I told him, there's 2 main reasons. A, I'm 22. My grasp of people I know in the industry, although seems substantial, is limited. I'm having to use my mentors and my people to reach out there and get numbers. But I told him that the reason I'm doing this is for 2 things. I get to know everyone, because the bar I'm at is an industry bar. Everyone there is to know that works in Houston goes there at least once a month. I've met more people through that than anything. It's all about reputation. That's what I'm building up there. And 2, yes, creating a cocktail means a lot to me. I love making someone smile. I love the creativity aspect of it. But at the end of the day, what drives me to be me, be a professional in my industry is the interactions. It's the people. And so, yeah, I could be at a 5-star, fine dining, craft 100 bar or whatever. You name it, I could be there. I could easily try my best, get the interview. But the clientele for regulars there aren't as strong because some of those places you do feel like you have to dress up. And I'd rather have someone come here and I can treat them as a friend. Because I can be honest, one of the biggest deal breakers for me to work in a bar is whether I can drop the F-bomb. I say wait, I can right now. I'm holding it back so much. I'm trying to be somewhat decent this morning. One of my New Year resolutions. Hey man, cut back.
Drop as many big fucks and F-bombs, whatever you want to call them, as you want on this. I don't think we're being censored for shit. So it's all good, brother. But tell me a little bit about, if your venues have played a role in how you created your legacy drink. Because one thing that I found was the Muhibbah Cocktail. It's a sparkling wine cocktail, and the city that I come from, it's an evolving city, and 5 years ago, heavily industrialized. Kind of like a Manchester, for anyone that's ever been to Manchester, a Swedish version of that. And now there's been a lot of development, a lot of growth, both mentally, emotionally, and financially. And I wanted the drink to reflect that. So I wanted it to have this kind of contrast between the concept and the drink itself. I wanted it to be somewhat elegant. I wanted it to be somewhat approachable, yet a little bit, it extends the bounds of flavor that they're used to. But I wanted the concept to be like an acid trip. I wanted the concept to be dirty and rough and kind of gross. And so my city, my location, my venue played a huge role in the creation of my drink. And I don't think I would have had the same creation if I would have lived in Stockholm. Have you found something similar throughout your experience with Muhibbah?
Very actually. So my whole thing, it derived from my family interactions. My cocktail is very heavily food based. Use of turmeric and soy sauce is kind of weird for most. But
and by the way, we're going to get onto that whole soy sauce business.
Oh, I right now I'm known in Houston for always having soy sauce in my truck now, just because of this crap. So I'm about to change my Instagram handle to mention something about always having soy sauce. So that's what I'm known for now.
For that one person who just tuned in just now, if this is the first time that you're ever hearing about soy sauce in a cocktail, I mean, Instagram this, hashtag this, do whatever you need to do, because I have, in the years of bartending, I have never seen a crazy motherfucker use soy sauce in a cocktail.
Well, when you're coming up with when you're working for a guy that uses testicles and fish sperm in cocktails, soy sauce seems pretty normal. Just put it in perspective. This is the guy.
Okay, we're gonna get back into that as well.
That's gonna be like another 3 hours of just talking. No, I mean, so I have, again, going back to mentors, I have two schools of thoughts that I deal with greatly between two places I work. I have be stupid and energetic and just find the craziest ingredients that you can use. I'll be honest right now, for our new menu, I'm working on a cocktail that uses MSG. I call it the Get Over It, because everyone has that stipulation of MSG and chemicals and stuff. I'm like, by the way, MSG is delicious.
Yeah.
Don't have to try it.
And I'm from Peru, and we use this thing called Ajinomoto. It's pure MSG. And I make a tincture out of it, actually.
Really? Last time I was just doing a simple, similar to a saline solution, just with MSG was what I was thinking about doing. Just keep it simple. But yeah, the venues definitely had an impact on that. I have that strict school of thought from my other job with Patrick Belos of here's the science, here's the chemical reactions that you get with it, here's the strict rules, and here's how you play with the rules to your advantage. And then I get the other thought of just do something crazy and see what happens. And so that has greatly impacted me because, again, I never would have thought of using soy sauce. I was originally a cocktail uses just a couple dashes of a saline solution. And then I'm just like, you know what? Let me see if I can add a different umami flavor to it to kind of bring it out more. And so, yeah, that did have an impact on it. My other places I worked from steakhouse. Started at a steakhouse, then worked on to a casual craft-oriented dining place called Whiskey Cake. And that's what kind of started me off my craft journey. And with them, it gave me my basis knowledge of, hey, here's how you build a cocktail. Here's how you create something balanced. Here's volume with craft. I mean, that's where I kind of got started. And so that played an impact on the rule side of me and my passion side. Started fueling me. But going to where I'm at now, it grew to, okay, let's push the boundaries a little bit. This past year, we had a crap ton of pumpkin puree that I was working with. And we did a frozen pumpkin Trinidad sour. By the way, if you ever do a frozen machine and a pumpkin Trinidad sour, just know you'll stain the crap out of it. It's so badly stained right now. But
send me the recipe to that. We'll use Bacardi, of course. But
it's delicious, by the way. Just no, you'll stain
using soy sauce. Do you find that because our drinks have to be replicable, and they have to be able to be made from big city like Houston to small city like the shopping where I come from? Have you found at all during this marketing campaign where we're trying to get the drinks globally recognized, we're reaching out to bars in Santiago de Chile, we're reaching out to bars in Melbourne, Australia. Have you had much kind of pushback on the concept of soy sauce? And I preface this by just saying the only reason why I asked this is because sometimes people might think to themselves, I have to stay very conventional when I'm creating a cocktail, whereas you're completely flipping that on its head and you're saying, no, fuck that. If I want to use soy sauce, I'm going to use goddamn soy sauce.
Well, fucking that last one was yogurt. So, I mean, I think soy sauce is pretty tame.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Actually, surprisingly or not, the pushback hasn't been because of the soy sauce. It's the turmeric that I've been having weird pushbacks with. So the original recipe itself uses a turmeric root, but for the mass-produced recipe, the one I've been giving everyone, it's turmeric powder because I found that access to root itself has been weird. I mean, as much as it's a global product, I mean, it's just as available as ginger is. I mean, I guess I haven't been drawbacks from that. I mean, so a little bit of tangent. Funny story. So last Thursday, I was doing a pop-up over at a bar a little further out, and this guy, he was in MIB. His name is Pasha. Super cool guy. He runs a program out in a place called Clear Lake called Rosewater, and the things he does are pretty outrageous for that area and that market, but people seem to enjoy it. I was doing pop-up out there. I ran out of syrups. I ran through 3 bottles of Bacardi. I was almost out of lime juice. I had to go buy more coconut cream for me. And I actually ran out of soy sauce. I'm like, son of a bitch. And he just like, no, I got some in the back. I'm like, all right. This random dude just has soy sauce sitting in his back bar. Can't find jack shit else, but hey, he has a backup with soy sauce. So that's all that matters.
So it's applicable. And I think now's a really good time to explain what's inside your drink.
Yeah, probably would be. So my whole cocktail premise with it is food aspect, food, and how my family bonded. To give you my backstory, my dad grew up in Western Pennsylvania as a Catholic, and my mom grew up in Singapore as a Muslim. And they came together and formed a, I guess, semi-decent family. Both my brothers are engineers, while apparently I bartend. Family conversations are super fun.
Yo, Just a hint in case you didn't know, Zach, you're the fucker for the family.
Oh, also, I'm the only gay one, so I guess it works out in that aspect too.
A gay bartender from the spawn of a a Catholic Muslim. All right, just now the soy sauce makes sense.
No fucks given, I guess. Shit, I might
Here's to you, brother.
Let's do something special. I know it's not sponsored Bacardi, but I mean, I feel like it's needed every now and again. Also, I'm live streaming this on my Facebook too, so who don't mind. But we'll do.
Of course, no, man.
Just some Hibiki whiskey.
Oh, perfect.
I feel like it's needed. But yeah, I mean, so I had quite a unique upbringing, obviously. But overall, I wanted to use turmeric. Turmeric was one of the things that I'm just like, it's a cool product. It's a wonderful spice. And I've always was inspired by it because one of my favorite dishes my mom cooked was a yellow gravy chicken, which was yellow through turmeric. And that kind of spawned me off into other stuff. It was a bad rabbit hole, by the way. Staying a lot of Bartels again. It launched me in the rabbit hole, and through that, my dad, one of the things I have a good memory with him is cooking Christmas cookies or baking Christmas cookies throughout the holidays. And so cinnamon and coconut kind of worked their way into it. So you created a turmeric cinnamon syrup and then used coconut coladas are delicious. So obviously choice lime juice is easy. And then Bacardi 4 came about. I saw they added that in this past year, and I'm like, wow, this has the bite I wanted from Bacardi Ocho, but still the accessibility of Bacardi Superior, and just kind of morph those two worlds. So I used that, and then it was missing a couple things. It was missing a slight body to it, as well as yes, turmeric is already unique itself, but it's missing another unique quality. Like what sets us apart is, as you know, and as I know, as well as our other competitors know, that Bacardi Legacy is about creating classic while challenging what we already do. And so finding that aspect of that challenge was tough. And I wanted to bring back in my Asian culture, like Singapore. What do I love from there? And that umami savoriness is what I kind of settled on. And while doing it, it was weird trying to figure out how to make it work because it was a balance of, do I want it to be an enhancer of flavors, like we would use salt, like saline solutions, or do I want it to be a predominant flavor? And I chose more of the predominant route. And so because of that, it has this weird umami back end kind of thing that just draws you to have another sip. And it's a fun experience. And then that with a little bit of Benedictine out of that middle palate with a little bit of that kind of played off that Mediterranean spice. I mean, all just kind of worked together and created this beautiful, wonderful, weird ass thing that I'm sure you're sick and tired of drinking in a cocktail. I'm pretty sick and tired of drinking my own cocktail.
Look, hashtag Cubist Cocktail. I am never sick of drinking Cubist Cocktail.
That's a lie. Don't even try that shit on me. I've been doing this. It's already been a month.
No, but I think before I get into my drink, I think that's your tagline is harmony. Bringing harmony together and bringing people together and creating this somewhat. I mean, you explain it better because it's your drink, your concept. But how does harmony tie into that through your perspective?
Because like I said, this is a family-based cocktail. It was inspired through everything my family done. It brings both Western and Asian cuisine into one. And my family created this, I mean, we're a screwed up family, but I mean, it's a functioning, successful family. One of my proudest things that I have with everything that every one of us do, and one thing my dad is always proud of is just how hardworking every one of his kids are. We never stop. And I want to show the world, like, hey, it's two opposites, complete opposites. We're able to come together. Turmeric, soy sauce, and cinnamon, and lime juice, and coconut, and rum just work. You never think of it. My family, my dad was hated by my mom's family. A Muslim girl marrying a white guy. It's not. He was hated.
It's none of the playbook.
Now,
and you know, I think that it's such a beautiful connection between that, you know, that personal route and the drink itself, and you know, having that. I think the drink really reflects that, because having Benedictine, the Benedictine is the one that really sticks out for me, because you know, I would have thought, okay, there's a lot of Asian influences in there, and Bacardi is being used because it has to be Bacardi. But then once I saw the Benedictine was in there, that's when I thought to myself, okay, this is really a hodgepodge of, you know, of flavors, of you know, you have ingredients and inspirations, and you know, inevitably I thought to myself, okay, this is a well thought out mess. This isn't something that, you know, a child is just putting together and hoping it tastes good, and okay, yeah, I'll enter this in. This is something that, you know, a lot of thought has gone into it, a lot of processing, a lot of planning, a lot of organizing, and you know, my hat should be taken off to you for that, because online it's coming across really well. It plays great. You know, it's a great story to tell, and you should be really proud of that, mate.
Thank you. I take pride in it. I mean, I really am honored by that, by the way. Like, don't ever. I'm a kind of weird person when I show off feelings, but I truly am honored. Like, that means a lot to me coming from you. Because being my age, anytime I hear that stuff, I'm just like, wow, people actually care.
And it's funny because we have this platform now that we didn't have 2 months ago, right? 2 months ago, you're just another one of 2 million bartenders in the world. You know, mixing your drink, stirring your drink, you know, making your hot shots or whatever. But now, you know, you've been given this platform to share a very specific story or a concept that means something to you, and that's something that I'm really, you know, I'm really enjoying doing that, and especially with something like Muhibbah Cocktail, where you know, I get to showcase this weird radical thinking side that, you know, in my everyday life, maybe I don't have the capacity to do that.
And being able to have that, I mean, another thing with Legacy, besides having that platform to show yourself off and show off the one crazy cocktail you did, it's a platform for movement. It's a platform for something more that I find. Again, through what I've done, I mean, you heard me, I'm a hodgepodge of ingredients myself. Just being a person, I'm a hodgepodge. And because of that, I had to fight for a lot of what I did. I had to fight for where I'm at. Everything I own, everything I do, everything I have, I wasn't given to it. It wasn't given to me. Nor is anything. I mean, I'm sure the rest of our competitors share the same thoughts of nothing's given to you. And I want to share my story and share because what this is about for me is not just about sharing a cocktail. It's about sharing an experience. It's about sharing a story. It's about connecting people, because my outlook on people is, wow, we have everything. I mean, I'll be honest, there's like 10 people watching on my phone right now. I mean, and we're so connected, I can easily just live stream something and say, hey, what's up to people. And yet our ability to connect people is at an impasse. It's weird.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm using this platform to bridge that gap. I'm sure you're using your platform for something else besides yourself, because I mean, you have to create something.
Yeah, and you know, I'm finding through this experience, you know, Cubist is I've always been a really open person. I've always been really approachable, and I'm quite curious by nature. But you know, what Cubist is preaching as a drink concept, it's shifting perspectives. It's taking status quo, convention, you know, regulated norms, and applying your own personality, your own perspective, your own experience to that, and then altering said status quo to create something new and something impactful. And what I found was throughout doing this, I'm able to connect to people from Kenya. I'm able to connect to people from Houston to Malaysia to India. And we're sharing this one common thread, being legacy, and we each have our own perspective of this one status quo, and no two stories are the same. So I think when it comes to putting an entry in, this goes back to what we spoke about you have to find something that's true to you. You have to find something that means something to you, and then apply that, and then reapply that in liquid form.
And I agree with that. I mean, I'll be honest, as much as I love this competition, this will probably be my only time doing Legacy, because making this cocktail and this journey alone has been so incredibly passionate for me. I don't think I can reignite that passion for another cocktail for this competition. I mean, a lot of what Legacy is finding that one passion to put in liquid form and share with everyone. And it's incredibly difficult. But
it's pretty refreshing. It's pretty refreshing to hear that, because I think you're the first person out of the multitude of people that I've spoken to about Legacy on air and off air that's been quite open to say that it may be the first and only time you compete, because you just can't match that that intensity that's required. And for those who are watching right now, it's an intense fucking process. Jesus,
I don't think anyone understands the whole marketing phase about it. Like, everyone that signs up for it is like, oh, it's gonna be so awesome to do a presentation and all that. I'm like, no, hell no. You have this entire 3-month period of just straight hell.
Which is, I'm on my family vacation. I'm on my family vacation right now. Shout out to the boys right here for being super patient. We're waiting to watch a family movie on the vacation, and shout out to my lovely girl right there. Hey, baby.
My dog's in here somewhere.
It's a grind. It's not something that if you are passionate about it, you shouldn't take it lightly, and it shouldn't be something that is done half-assed.
You can't. I mean, there's no way you can half-ass this. Like, the amount of energy that is required, the time, commitment. I mean, I'm sure you are just as much as I am taking days off to make sure you're able to go out and do stuff. So it slightly affects your livelihood all at the same time. I mean, plus you're putting in money into branded items, travel. I mean, it takes a full commitment to do this. I mean, like yesterday I was out with my Bacardi rep, and a lot of our conversations were about, where do you find the passion? Where do you find the time? Where do you find the commitment to keep yourself going? And like I said, like, this is insanely stressful for me, but it's also been some of the most fun I've had in quite a while. It's difficult.
And I suppose this kind of leads into the second of 3 topics about health. It's a marathon. One thing that Jimmy Hoot tells me all the time, my BA here in Sweden, is that Legacy, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And if you treat it like a sprint, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get too stressed, and most importantly, you kind of drink too much. And he says that
bartenders drink too much. Never. It's never an issue.
Yeah.
Only not drinking at 2 o'clock.
1, 2, 3.
I mean, if you want to go that route, hold on. Let me just pick you up from my laptop over here. Yeah, I don't drink at all.
Yeah,
that whole stuff over there.
We're just supposed to talk about health, and there you are. You got your own bar over there. But talk to me about how are you finding the maintaining the health aspect of this journey?
This journey has been weird, because when I started this, I had no expectations of even getting accepted this far. But when I started this, it was during a time where I'm like, okay, I gotta take care of myself. I'm going out a lot more. I'm drinking a lot more. I'm not working out. I'm not taking care of my body. I'm eating bad. I'm staying out late. I mean, being a bartender itself is just a tolling industry. You're shaking drinks, you're mixing things, you're taking a couple shots with your guests to, you know, create that relationship. I mean, there's a lot. And there's this one gentleman who just recently passed. Not even that old. He was based out of Dallas. I met him through a competition I did called Ultimate Cocktail Experience, and he was just a super loving, funny, just caring guy. But he recently passed away, and it kind of hit home because you see all these people that just seem happy and all about it, but what you don't realize is they don't take care of themselves sometimes, and it's an important quality, important aspect that you have to do. I mean, one of my biggest things was trying to figure out a time to separate competition and family. When I'm at home with my family, when I'm with my family, I'm with my family. I recently just took a trip to Pennsylvania to visit my grandfather, who's 94 years old and still makes fat jokes on my dad. 94-year-old man, it's great. One day I hope I'd be able to do that. But even when I was up there, my buddy was trying to hook me up with people to talk to. He was trying to get me going to do pop-ups and stuff. I told him, look, I am with my family. I care about this competition deeply, but you have to set that time aside. You have to set time for yourself. You have to set time for your family. You have to. There's no exceptions to that rule.
No, and I think that's a really, I mean, that makes me feel bad because I'm sitting here on a family vacay doing Legacy. But,
okay, this is like 2 hours at a time. I think we can spare that. And what, it's like, what, 9 o'clock down there now?
Yeah. But, what, one thing I think you really touched on is have to have a plan. And in that plan, you have to be really rigorous with that plan, because if you're kind of adapting yourself daily, then that's when things get stressful. I found in the beginning of my campaign, there were so many opportunities popping up left, right, and center. People were kind of throwing things my way, collaborations, art projects coming up, different venues, and then throw that in with my own ambition. It overwhelmed me. And you're going from place to place, like you said, taking a shot here, having a beer there, eating a kebab over there, and you can let go of the rope really quickly. And once you let go of that rope, you're not mentally going to be prepared, you're not emotionally going to be prepared, you're not physically ready, and it's just not what the experience is about.
I mean, I had a early, slightly breaking point about a third of the way through this so far. My buddy, I think he's watching right now. What's up, Chris Naylor? I don't know if you're still watching, but hey.
Hey, Chris.
We just got done with the USG meeting, I think. Yeah, that was the USG meeting day. And I was just insanely stressed. Like, even during the meeting, I was on my phone answering emails, I was answering texts, I was trying to message someone, I was trying to get this collab going. I mean, even during that, my time where I separate myself and just get to enjoy and learn was spent working. And I had to go out that night to bar hop and talk to people and get messages going and see what was going on around Houston. And he ended up just like, we went to go eat. And before we went out, because he wanted to come with, we went to eat. And he basically just went, you know what, Zach, you need a day. You need a day where you just not care about this for a second. And it's one of those things that we literally just went out to a dive bar, just sat there and just bitched to each other and just had a couple shots and a couple beers. Like, we didn't get screwed up. We didn't try to get messed up or anything like that. We just sat, hung out, and bid. And I was able to be a person for once, for a second. I was able to be a friend, which, as much as physical health is important to us, mental health is, again, with Legacy, it's tolling. With bar, it's tolling. With anything you do, it's tolling. And so mental health is just as important as physical. And so taking that time just to stay separate.
And there's always that pressure around every corner that, all right, well, that one bartender's, you know, he's kind of big in the game, and you know, if I'm not hanging with him, shot for shot or beer for beer, maybe he doesn't ride with my idea or my cocktail or me as a person, and that is a real thing, you know, that happens. But again, you know, I think mentality in the industry globally it's shifting, and it's changing from, you know, you have to get fucked up every day to no, live within your means, live within your bounds, and make it work for you. So,
I mean, one thing that Houston has a weird history with things of being people that will get the most screwed up, but still show up and put up for everything that we do. But I mean, so last night, let me just try this story into it. Like I said, we went to, I think it was like 6 bars in like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. That's a lot. And if one thing about Houston bar scene is, although we have a lot of bars, they're super spread out. So if you go bar hopping, it's a slight chore, unless you choose just one area and like 3 bars you want to go to. That's like the best you can do for most part. And so with that, again, it was a marathon. And the entire night, I only finished 1 drink. Every bar I went to, I maybe had 1 drink, and I only finished 1. And that was the first drink we had before we ended up even going out. And it was one of those things that I knew I didn't try to keep up with anyone. I saw people taking shots left and right. I mean, it was New Year's. People were, hey, do this with me, do that. And it's the separation of knowing what you're about, and then also knowing that I hate to put this in there because I want to kind of separate this from Legacy with this message, but with Legacy, you're representing a brand. We're representing Bacardi.
I mean, you know, just to jump in on that, you shouldn't separate brand from that message, because you know, they're selecting a global champion, and that global champion has to represent the brand. So what they stipulate in the entry is that your drink can't be related to politics or blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But most importantly, the person who ends up winning their national round and the person that ends up winning globals, hey dude, they have to fucking like you, and you have to be a pretty stand-up, respectable person to, you know, to get judges' attentions.
Well, I didn't mean like, my message with that was not wanting to separate from the brand. It was a matter of knowing that the brand isn't what should keep you sane. It's your own
Right.
I mean, it's your ability to say no. It's your ability to take care of yourself. And I mean, Bacardi, of course, we're both representing them as well as the rest of our finalists and competitors. But at the end of the day, we're not just representing Bacardi, we're representing ourselves, our own brand, our own product. And our body is our product to the world. You have to take care of yourself. And so it's not Bacardi brand that's important. It's respect to yourself and your own brand and your person. And that means more to me than anything. I would sacrifice everything. I would throw this competition out the door if Bacardi did something I didn't believe in. Luckily, Bacardi is a fantastic company that believes heavily in family, which is what heavily influences me. So. Yeah,
no, it's a great point, man. Great point, and something that, you know, you should really carry forward for anyone that's listening to this. You know, you really need to factor that into making it this far in, because there's a lot more riding on this campaign than just, you know, said cocktail. So, but brother,
sure
before we
followers from all around the world now, just as much as I have. Some dude followed me from Russia and
man.
All that. I'm like,
brother.
I have another sip of whiskey real quick.
Hey man, Russia's the most. I think it's not so much about who's following; it's about who.
I think you're present here, guys.
That's one thing. Message I have my entire content, and you know, what I find is that when I have one clear idea and one clear concept, and who I am and what my idea of Muhibbah Cocktail is, I find that the right people are contacting me. The right people are wanting to work with me. The right people are wanting to collaborate with me because we share the same idea and the same values. But man, right before I think I've got about another 8 minutes left before I have to start a family movie because, like we said,
you got to separate it. You got to spend time with your family.
Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Poo Poo?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, you love Cubist?
Yes.
Good boy. The best trick ever.
Well, if I see you in globals, you know, my drink's probably better. So hopefully I see you in globals so I can prove to you that my drink is better. Hopefully I can see you in globals so I can prove that.
So say it again, bro.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I got you now. I got you.
My drink's probably better. Hopefully I'll be able to see you in globals to prove it.
Hey man, it's a global world. You just pass me that recipe, and I'm sure I can find a bottle of soy sauce somewhere.
Oh, it's everywhere. I'm
so, yeah, talk to me about the name, man.
So Muhibbah is a Malay word. The actual meaning is it's like goodwill is kind of like the actual book meaning, but the way it's used in Malay is cultural harmony. And so when I'll be honest, I suck with naming cocktails. That's probably my biggest downfall. But one reason this one really stood out to me, I mean, it's because this is what it's the ideals of what I want. The cocktail itself, its definition, whatever. But the cocktail's meaning is how it's used and how it's treated is what I'm trying to get at with people. And that's the same word. That's why I use Muhibbah, because it has two meanings. This cocktail is not tied down to anything. Yes, I'm the creator of it, but it's not tied down to me. The meaning, the message ties to everything. So that's where my name kind of derived from. I'll be honest, I don't speak a lick of Malay. I only speak English. But I did a little bit of research and kind of dug down into like, okay, where are the different...
I don't...
But...
You know, I don't think that plays such a pivotal role. You know, I could have named myself something Arabic, but I think that when you're creating not just a cocktail but a legacy cocktail, like you said, it needs to be something that's approachable. It needs to be something that isn't tied to just one single unit, one single drink. It needs to be a concept. It needs to be a concept name that captures the feeling. It captures everything that you're trying to say in a really short, sharp burst. And it is so hard to name a fucking cocktail. And with the pressure knowing that if this progresses further, you know, I have to live with this thing. You know, this name is going to be attached to my name for as long as people are ordering it, as long as social media lives on. So it's difficult to come up with the name. For me, you know, with Cubist, what ended up helping me was taking in all factors. I took in each factor from artist, from industry, from you know, I didn't want to do something Spanish. I wanted to do something that was English. I wanted to do something that was really short, not the Cubist, not Cubist cocktail. I just wanted to stick. That's kind of like the name Muhibbah. You know, it's interesting. It's kind of perplexing to say because I didn't know what language it was. I speak Spanish. I know Muhibbah isn't Spanish, and it was interesting for me. So, congratulations on naming it because that's a huge hurdle.
It was insanely difficult. I can't tell you how many names I had to message to my boss to go, hey, would this work? Or how would that tie in? Or how does that go with that? Or it was a difficult challenge to finally decide on that. And I'll be honest, I still kind of want to change it because I'm just about tired of everyone mispronouncing it. Muhibbah,
Yeah.
by the way, for everyone out there, in case you're watching later. Like,
nah, bro. Muhibbah.
oh my god, I've gotten that so many times. I just got tired of it at one point. I was doing a pop up. I got tired of it. I was like, all right, everyone just call it cultural harmony. I'm tired.
The deciding tattooed on your neck. Cultural harmony. I like that. But you know, that's the thing. If you get the name tattooed on your body, then it's a good name.
Fortunately, I'm all clean still. One day, when my mom won't kill me.
Big Zach. I'm gonna have to. Buddy, I'm gonna have to jump off. I'm gonna be with my family for the first day of 2019.
Well, you enjoy. Thank you again for having me. I hope we can talk again sooner or later.
Brother, what I want to do another. I want to do another shot with you, and I want to put this up on Insta.
Well, I mean, I already doing it with you, so I guess I gotta grab a Bacardi bottle too. Okay. Where's the pusher? There it is. Oh yeah.
All right, labels out always.
You know, Bacardi 4. Yeah, everyone, cheers. Got my Bacardi bottle right there.
Here we are, Zach. Happy 2019. Here's to Muhibbah Cocktail. Here's to Muhibbah.
Cheers to a good year, to a fun time. And hopefully be able to finally meet you one day.
Delicious. Absolutely. And let's do this again real soon. Let's do this again right before your nationals.
Down for it, man. You have a good night, all right, man. Enjoy your family. Happy New Year's.
You too, brother. Thanks so much for being on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. You have a good one.
Bye. Peace. Bye.